My name is Travis Chappell. I'm the owner-operator here at T&T High Country Flying Service. We run 2 spray planes out of this location, and we spray all the potato fields and the wheat and the barley and the hay here in southeast Idaho. So my background is I graduated high school in 2000. And I decided at that point I was going to be a carpenter, so I started working over in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and then I met my wife there shortly after that. So she and I was working as a carpenter over in Jackson. We lived here in St. Anthony, Idaho, and I made the commute every day. And then in 2003, I took 2 weeks off. The company I worked for, we got 2 weeks off paid vacation every year. So in 2003, I took 2 weeks off to frame my own home because I was only a 2.5-year carpenter. I certainly wasn't a journeyman at the point, but took 2 weeks off to frame our own home that we were building at the ages of, I think, 19 and 20. We were young, and I never went back to work. I had so many jobs lined up in that short amount of time that I called my boss and told him that I wasn't coming back to work, and so I did construction full-time, building homes up until 2007. Late 2007, the economy fell apart. Crop dusting has always interested me, but I'm terrified of flying. I was terrified of airplanes. It's always interested me, you know. When I was on my way to work in the mornings, I'd stop and watch Neil spray the fields up there on Klingler's and, you know, what's now the Crapo farms. Anyways, it was always an interest to me, but I didn't think, you know, not really anything of it. But when the economy crashed in 2008 and I was doing construction full time, I thought I wanted to do something a little more steady, I guess. And so I just kind of started brainstorming and thought, maybe I'll be a crop duster pilot. But I had to get over this fear of flying. So one of my good friends' dad, Gary Sutton, you're in this, he actually convinced me to get in his 152, which is sitting over in that hangar right there. And that was in 2007, the fall of 2007. And it only took one flight, and I was addicted. And so at that point, the economy had crashed, work had slowed down doing construction. So I went back to school and got my commercial license, got my applicator license in Kansas that year. That's where I started. And I went to work as a crop duster, not knowing a dang thing about what I was doing, but I survived it. I'm here to tell the tale, I guess. So that's pretty much it. And here we are, 14 years later. And yeah, that's how we got started.
Kind of an interesting story. When I was a kid, I grew up in southern Arizona, farming, ranching, have an agriculture background. But when I was in high school, I got to be pretty good friends with the local crop duster guy there. His name was Chuck Stutzman. Pretty cool old man. He sprayed for 44 seasons. He was in it for quite a while and did it all across the country. You know, he had quite a bit of experience, and he ended up in southern Arizona, and I just, one Saturday morning, I heard his plane out spraying, and I still remember he flew a 1966 Snow, the big radial on it, and plane was in terrible shape. It looked absolutely terrible. Had duct tape on the wings, and like it was a bad shape, but it worked. And I went out to the field where he was spraying, and I met his wife, who was out there flagging for him. And as soon as I expressed my interest in it, she immediately invited me over to their house for dinner, and that's kind of how it all kicked off, you know. And so got to be really good friends with Chuck, and anytime that I heard that airplane flying and I wasn't busy, I would go find it and just watch him and take some pictures and that kind of stuff. And so all these years later, I was pretty convinced that that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't quite get into it. You know, after high school, I served a mission, and then, you know, came back, and life just kind of happened. Got married in 2001, and shortly after that, went to helicopter school, became a commercial helicopter pilot, and loved helicopters, but couldn't quite get into it the way that I wanted to, and ended up working as a paramedic in EMS, and I was in that field for 17 years. 2017-ish, finally had enough of EMS and just told my wife, you know what, it's time for me to go do what I've always wanted to do. And so went and got a commercial airplane license and went off to Waco, Texas to an ag school and got that endorsement that Travis talked about and headed for Idaho, where we didn't know anybody. And that's how we got into it. So getting into this business, it's hard to find a guy like Travis who's willing to take on a rookie and put him in a very expensive airplane with a lot of power and to go do what we do. That first year is to me one of the most dangerous, because you think you know what you're doing, but you know you don't know what you're doing, and you're just trying to figure it out. You're just trying to stay alive. And so that first season for me was really strange, because I probably wasn't as scared as I should have been. Flying has always come really natural to me. When I was in helicopter school and did my commercial check ride for helicopters, I remember the lady that did the check ride, she said, I can always tell when a farm boy comes through here, because you guys fly these helicopters just like it's another tractor. And to me, that's what it is. It's just a machine that you fly, you know. And so that first year I did it just like that. You know, I treated it just like another machine, and I think that was a good thing and a bad thing. And looking back now, you know, we got towards the tail end of that season, and I was tired. It had been a long season. I was learning a lot. I had a lot to learn still, and I got complacent. And I came up the field, you know, kind of flying up this hill, and I hit a pivot with my landing gear. And that experience really shook me. In fact, I came back and I couldn't even tell Travis what happened. It shook me, you know. It made me realize just how close I came to ending this thing just as it was getting started. And anyhow, we got past that, and I fly very differently. The NAAA does say that a third-year pilot is the most dangerous, and I'm in my third season right now. But I think that experience has made me safer, because I just don't take chances. You know, I give myself plenty of space. I fly different because of that experience.
I don't know, it's been a tough road. Cropdusting's been a tough road for me. There's been a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. I love the job. I love flying the plane. Especially like the last, I would say, week. The air has been really good. There's been a lot of beautiful sunrises. There's been a lot of good sunrises, and so the sunrises are good to see. They make me happy. But I'd say this year, I don't know, there's been kind of a shift in me, and this year, I don't know, I realize now that, you know, even though it is hard work and we grind, I'm here till 5, 6 o'clock every night, even though we grind 15, 16 hours a day, I'd rather be doing this than framing houses, you know, but, so I don't know if there is a best memory, because it's all been a memory, and it's all a story. It's a wild story. I mean, you know, from being scared of airplanes to scared of flying to scared, just terrified, you know, to kind of tackling that fear, and then being thrown into the middle of it. So, but I am starting to see the good in it now. It's unfortunate that it's taken 15, 14 seasons. This is my 14th season. Yeah, this is my 14th season. And I'm now just realizing, I guess, how blessed I am to do what I do.
Honestly, for me, being in this area, this part of Idaho, you see a lot of people on social media and stuff that will post pictures of the Five Guys restaurant that they went to, whether it's in Atlanta or New York or anywhere across the country. People, they're always posting pictures where it says, today's potatoes provided by such and such farmer, St. Anthony, Idaho, or, you know, someplace that we spray. And it's kind of funny, because I can look at those and go, I sprayed those spuds, you know. And so to know that we played a small part in getting those potatoes to, customers across the country and in some cases across the world, that's pretty gratifying for me, to know that the farmers have to have us. We depend on them and they depend on us, and it's a really good working relationship that we have, and to be able to play a part of feeding America and feeding the world, that's gratifying.